right now, what we're trying to do is just hold the canvas to the ceiling so it doesn't slip off. I've already ran the wire through the bottom, through that hole, through the base, into the little canvas covering. Run the wire straight, and then we're going to run it straight to the light. So you've got a 90-degree turn right about here, and you just duct tape the wire down, hook it in, and then your light's already wired. What we're doing now is centering the ceiling onto the base. You should have a little bit of an overhang on each four corners over the base. And now we're just lining up the tracks and screwing them in. Where it's going to start getting critical is when you put the axles in, that they're right over the bottom, the base axles. And well, I'll show you how to line that up. But here's the front. You can see there's a little bit of an overhang here. It looks like about 1/4 of an inch. And then on the other side, it's also about 1/4 of an inch. And just make sure they're straight so that you can line up your tracks over the tracks that we've already installed on the base. Okay, next you want to put on the rear tracks first before you put on the side tracks. The rear track basically keeps the rear arms keeps the ceiling in line with the base. It makes sure that it controls the left and right movement of the ceiling to make sure it comes down straight, while the side arms keep it from moving forward and back. Basically, what we do is we line it up. We put the rears on first, on the rollers, the arms. Then we came over here and then we made sure that this is lined up with the bottom plate, and then we screwed it in, and then I tuck it behind the canvas. You can put it over the canvas if you want, but it looks cleaner behind the canvas. Put a little slit in the canvas, push the stud through, and then bolt it all together. Now this will keep it all in line with the left and right movement. And then now we're working on putting the side arms onto the pop top. Now we put in the side arms. Basically, what you want to do with the side arms is, as you notice that the top stud plate is a little bit off compared to the bottom, is because when they had made these bars, they had drilled a hole in the center of the bar, and then they bent the bar, so it's going to throw it off a little bit. When you're having the bars fabricated, I'd have them bend the bars first and then center the hole and then punch the hole in the center of the bar so that these will line up right on top of each other. But this way works as well. Basically what we did was we put this on, the bottom on, and then put the two in the back on the rollers, and then we came over here and then made sure that this stud was right in the center of the hole on the top, the top bar, and then bolted it in or screwed it in. Now what you want to make sure is you want to check underneath and make sure that the rib is right over the flange underneath. The wooden rib is right over the flange, which I'll show you a little bit later. And in the front, as you can see, it's sitting, the ceiling section, which is here, and this is the base, it's sitting just back of the base, just a little bit. This is the passenger side, and you see that, again, the bolts are just a little bit off center because of where they punched the center of, the... Here's a finished interior. I'm going to try to explain where the roof or the ceiling section is going to meet with your base. Here's that second rib. You want to make sure it lines up with this is the base. This is what's going into the van. Now, you want to make sure that the rib right here lines up. Now, you have to compensate because you're going to put this trim ring on. So, without this trim ring, this edge is a little bit in front of the base. Same thing in the front section so that the hooks will line up straight up and down. If you line up the rib perfectly with the fiberglass without compensating for the trim, then your hook, when you hook it in, is going to be at an angle. Here, as you can see, it's going to be straight up and down. That's how you line it up, the ceiling to the ceiling to the base, so that when you put on your side arms, that when the ceiling comes down, it's going to be just right in front of the part that goes into the van. That's on the base. Okay, once you've got the arms all set up and you've got your stud plates in place, then you screw the canvas all the way around. Now this particular top is, you want to be careful of the ceiling, not to make the ceiling very thick, because this particular ceiling section or roof section is a little bit heavy. So we had to put an extra spring on the top. You can do that if you wish, but it's really not necessary. If you try to keep the roof as light as you can by putting as little resin as possible, but not giving up strength, then your roof will be nice and light and you can get away with just one spring. And what we did was we connected it to the roller with a spring clip, and then you've got your adjusting tensioner, then you have the spring, and then you have your spring clip. Now the spring clip right here, I'm filming the spring clip, is 7 inches from the bolt to there is 7 inches. So you want to drill your hole and through bolt it and put the spring clip in place. This top is ready to be put on. And on the rear it's just a single spring on the rear. Then I've already taped up, the wiring's all taped. This is the other side. Now we put our angle brackets, as you can see right here. These are the angle brackets. 3 screws holding it, and then these 2 holes are for the eye loops. This is basically what holds the roof to the ceiling, or the ceiling to the roof. And these, I'm going to have some made for you so you can copy them. And there's 3 of them. So you have 3 on each side. Now these plates here, this is 1 3/4 inches by 1 3/4 inches and 3 inches long. I'm sorry, 6 inches long, and we just put 3 screws to hold them so you can center them anywhere you want, as long as you get into the wood. And then these 2 holes are for the eye loops. So we just centered them, and you can get different size eye loops. So right now these are around 2 5/16 distance. So you want to measure an eye loop and then drill your holes at the top. And all you have to do is just center punch them. And just punch them in the center and then put them on. Now as you notice there, the curve is not flush with the roof. It's just a little bit over to the top, so that it's above the ceiling just a little bit, like 1/8 of an inch, and then the roof will go right on top of here, and then we'll go from underneath, drill through the fiberglass and through both the eye loops, and that's what's going to hold it in place. I won't be able to supply you with these angle brackets. You're going to have to make them. So just remember, they're 1 3/4 wide, 1 3/4 deep, and 6 inches long. Now I'm going to show you what the roof cutout is. I'm in a Vanagon right now, and this is the first rib, or the first bump. And what you need to do is you need to cut it all the way to the edge of the first rib. Measure it 47 inches from the back, from the front to the back 47 inches and cut it off. And then the sides are 40 inches, is 40 inches wide. Here's a top view of the cutout. This is your rib. Here's your rib. It's 3.5 inches from the very top of the rib. Measure 3.5 inches to here, and that's where you're going to be. That's what you need to cut out, and measure from here all the way down to 40 inches, which will be right 47 inches. I'm sorry, 47 inches right to the edge of that rib, and you cut out your hole. And it's 40 inches wide. So the easiest way is to find your center point. Find the center point. The center point of the van. Measure 20 inches, and 20 inches on the other side, and from the top part of the rib, 3.5 inches back, and that's your line that you're going to draw all the way across. So basically, this is the fake rib. There's a bump here, and then there's a gap, and then there's another. Then it bumps up again. You're just going to basically cut to the edge of the second bump and cut it all the way down. And that'll give you enough clay to put to center the base onto the ceiling. Now, as far as wiring is concerned, your wiring is going to drop down right about here. You can, since your headliner is going to be down, you can wire it right to that light, and wire the pop-top light to that light, and then you're all set. Now, after you cut the roof, you're going to have your headliner will be, of course, one complete piece here. There's going to be a bar going across. There's going to be 1, 2, 3 small little bars. You're going to have to remove those bars. And then inside, where the bars connect to, are little plastic pieces that you also remove. There's the hole that the plastic pieces go into. You're going to just pop out those plastic pieces and remove the bars. Then your headliner is going to drop, then go about a foot, or I'd go about 1.5 feet from the corner in, and just cut it in an X, so that the headliner now will drop down, so that when the base comes down, it's going to hang down right about here. All you do is just take your headliner and glue it up to the base, which we'll show you once we get the top on. So remember just to cut off to the edge of the rib. There's this little lip right here that's also in the front. You're going to cut out this lip, so this will be flat against the base, because the base is going to come down here and it'll be flat against this rib. And then you're going to drill through and into this rib and put the latches on, which I'm going to show you when we're ready to put on the latches. So remember, 47 front to back and 40 wide. Starting at the first rib. That's your first measurement, it's the first rib. 3.5 inches in, centered, 20 inches, 20 inches. You could do the same thing in the back, and connect your points, and there's your square to cut out. We got the top on the vehicle, just the base and the ceiling. The roof we put in last. Now we're putting silicone along the edges, and you just screw the top in. Just center it and screw it in. See, there's that cutout, and there's that fake rib. It sits right in between. And basically how we put the screws in, we just match the screws on the pop top. Just match it wherever you can, all the way around. And your top's in. So then we silicone it all the way around, let the silicone dry, and then we start working on the interior. Here in the front,